Hey traders, Gavin McMaster here from Options Trading IQ, doing a video collaboration with Barchart. Today we're looking at finding the best option trades. Before we do that, just a quick disclaimer that everything discussed is for educational purposes only, is general in nature, and does not take into account your personal circumstances. So first things first, what we want to do is go over to barchart.com and come to our stock screener. So before we start looking for option trades, we want to start looking for underlying stocks that might be appropriate for a particular option trade, and then we can start using some of the option screeners to drill further down. So I've got a couple of screeners that I'm going to walk you through. The first one is large cap stocks, so over 40 billion with total call volume greater than 2,000 and has a buy rating, so a rating greater than 95% on the overall opinion. So that gives us 44 results. I always like to have market cap and IV percentile in my results here. Then I can filter by those to see the large cap stocks. These are usually going to be the best for trading options because they'll have very, very liquid options. So you can see any there in the top. Most of those top sort of 20 are going to be pretty good for options. And then I can see which ones have particularly high implied IV percentile. In that case, I might want to look for option selling strategies, and then stocks with a low IV percentile, I might prefer to look at option buying strategies, which we'll get to shortly. So that's the first screener. The second one I've got is a 50-day moving average cross screener. So to set this up, again, we've got call volume here, 1,000. We can change that to 2,000. I like to have IV percentile here, but just leave it blank. And that'll help it populate as a column heading when we choose filter view. Same with the earnings date. And I want to see stocks that made a new 50-day moving average signal, either a buy or a sell. I've got the moving average direction and strength as well. And again, I'm just keeping those blank because I want to return all results. I just want to see which ones have the buy and the sell signals. And again, large market cap as well. So that's giving us about 6, 7 results. So we can see their IV percentile. We've got our earnings date, whether it made a buy signal on both of these. So what I would do here is I would right click on the ticker, go into a new tab, and come and look at the chart. So I can check all the particulars of the particular company that I'm looking at, earnings date, dividend yield, all that sort of stuff, analyst ratings. If I'm looking at a bullish stock, it's always comforting to know that there's a bullish view from the analysts. I can check the IV percentile here and compare the current level of implied volatility to the 12-month high and the 12-month low. And then I want to go and click on full chart here and look into the technicals a little bit more. And you can see here pretty clear bullish cross above the 50-day moving average. We had some nice support here initially, a little bit of a temporary break below, and now we're getting back above the 50-day moving average. So that's a really nice bullish setup in my opinion. So that's certainly a stock that we're going to look at when we go and look at our option scanners. I think ANET was another one. We might use that as well. McDonald's as a sell. We could have a quick look at that one. So yeah, reasonably decent break below the 50-day moving average. I wouldn't say that's super bearish yet, but maybe if that stays below the 50-day moving average for a day or two, that could be a bearish candidate. The next screener is similar, but basically just a 200-day moving average screener. Again, you can filter for market cap. I could add total call volume in here as well. But a couple that jumped out here with Bank of America and 3M. So, we've got some more less bullish ratings here. We've got a few sell ratings, moderate sell, strong sell. And if we look at our chart, we can see we had a temporary break here above the 200-day moving average and now crossing back below that 200-day moving average, which to me is a pretty good bearish signal. There's a good saying in the markets, from failed moves come fast moves. So we've got the failed move here above the 200, and maybe now there's going to be a potential fast move to the downside. So we'll keep that in mind when we're looking at our bearish scanners. The next one, so last stock screener, is just a simple screener to show us any stocks with high implied volatility percentile. Sometimes I'll change this around to just have a look at stocks with a low IV percentile. But for now, I want to look for stocks with a high IV percentile, good call volume. And again, I'm just going to leave that earnings date blank so that it can come in my filter headings as well. So there's a couple of here that jump out. Obviously, there's a buy rating here. I could add those moving average screener results here as well, potentially. But Palantir is one that jumped out, really high IV. We've got earnings coming up next week, but also really quite bullish if we look at the chart. So this is one where I might potentially look at a naked put. We might use that in our naked put scanner in a minute when we look at that. So you can see there, really nice trend, looking pretty bullish and high IV. So we can take advantage of that high implied volatility around the earnings announcement, which means there's lots of premium in those puts that we could potentially sell. So if we go and look at our naked put screener, this is the standard results where you can get some good ideas. Might just come in here and change a few of these filters. What I'll do is I'll add symbol. So I had a few names that were bullish. So we could go matches, we could say AMD, and then just separate these by a comma. And we can see here now we're getting some potential put sales on the 3 or 4 stocks that we were interested in from our bullish scan. If I want to be closer to the money, I might change filter by the moneyness and look at the closer to the money strikes for, say, Apple. You can see here selling the 185 put for September. It's trading about 213. Probably going to be able to sell that for about 210. So we'd receive about $2.10 in, or $210 in option premium. And if the stock drops below 185 at expiration on September 15th, we'd be assigned, we'd take ownership of Apple at 185. Our break-even price would be the strike price minus the premium, which is 182.87. That's a 6.96% decline to break even. We've got really nice volume and open interest, so that's good. Potential annualized return of 9.7%. Or I could filter by annualized return. Maybe I want to look for something a bit more risky like Palantir. 10% out of the money, so a nice decrease to our break-even price. But because the IV is so much higher on a stock like this, because it has a much higher beta, the potential return is a lot higher. Obviously, with high returns comes higher risk because there's more risk that a stock like Palantir could move 10% in a day, whereas that tends not to happen with Apple anymore. So that's one way we can use our stock screener to then come in and filter our naked put screener. We could do the same on a covered call screener as well. Again, just coming in here, looking at our symbols. We can pop those in. And if we want to go close to the money, focus more on income, we can do that. We can get a nice high return from the option premium. If we wanted to allow for more upside gains, we can filter for further away from the strike price, being placed further away from the stock price. Lower premium, lower return if the stock stays flat, but a much higher return if the stock goes up through that strike price. So you can play around with those filters to get something that suits your style. If you're more of an income generated trader, you might go closer to at the money. If you want to allow some upside potential, you might go further away from the stock price. So play around with those, see how you go. And if there's any questions, obviously just reach out to the support team. Bull call debit spreads, another good one. We've got plenty of results here on default that we could look at. We could again filter for our symbols. One other thing we could do, instead of filtering for the symbols, we could actually add some of those parameters from our stock screener. Some of those are available here in the option screeners. So you could say, I want the overall buy rating to be above 95%. We could also potentially add that 50-day MA signal. So we may actually be able to remove a step here without having to actually use the stock screener. We'll just see what these results look like. So pretty good. We're getting some of these more risky stocks. So we might want to say, wonder if we can have total call volume greater than 2,000. Hopefully this will give us a few less results. No, still getting quite a few. So maybe it is easy to just use the stock screener first. I wonder, let's just try filtering for, yeah, we're still getting quite a lot of results. So maybe we do use the stock screener still, but this is quite handy to add this in at the option screener as well. So let's go back to our symbols, add those back in. And there's our bull call debit spread candidates. We could filter by max profit if we're looking for a high profit potential, lower profit potential but higher probability. Lots of ways we can drill down into those results. Similar with the bull put spread screener. And there's our results. Again, we can drill down. We could look on a stock by stock basis, even if we wanted to say, right, I want to do just AMD for this particular strategy. Might be a bit easier to look at that. And we can further start to drill down to get these results down if we wanted to, depending on the sort of parameters that we're interested in. And then we had a couple of bearish candidates as well. So let's take a look at those. And they were Bank of America and 3M. So nothing coming in on those results. We might just extend some of these parameters out a little bit, and we'll add in weeklies. Sometimes just drop the volume and open interest parameters. I find that will sometimes give slightly better results as well. So there we go. So there's a few bear put debit spread candidates there, particularly for Bank of America. So scanning through, typically I'm going to want to be out of the money, but not looking like we're getting too many of those. Maybe better to use a bear call spread screener in this case, which we can take a quick look at. Let's see if we get any with our default parameters. Yeah, so we're getting a few for Bank of America. That looks more like my sort of style. Selling the 32 strike call, buying the 32.50 call. So out of the money, low profit percentile. So you probably want to look at something a little bit higher, maybe something like this one here, September, selling the 32, buying the 35. Something like that would be an interesting trade setup. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, reach out to the team. Otherwise, best of luck with your trading.